The Queensland state election is on Saturday the 31st of October 2020 and I'm asking for your support for a third term. I've been so privileged to represent this community since my first election in 2015. I'm proud of the things I've achieved for this community, including $200 million for the Ipswich motorway upgrade from Darra to Rocklea, $24.8 million for the Ipswich Turf Club to bring it into line with other racing clubs across Queensland, an Ipswich Cycle Park, $150 million investment in Ipswich Hospital. These are all important projects for our community, but I know there's more to be done. 2020 has been a hard year for many of us, but there's been also some things that we've learned from this year. Because we've managed the health response so well across Queensland, we can focus on our economic recovery, and that means jobs. The Ipswich community really benefited from the Skilling Queenslanders for Work program, where we saw youth unemployment drop 8%. But we've been set back with this pandemic, and I believe Ipswich as a city has many opportunities at our fingertips. The Palaszczuk government invested $5 million in a defence hub right in the middle of Ipswich. The defence hub is connecting small to medium-sized enterprises with opportunities in defence manufacturing. This is an industry that's growing and that I believe has enormous potential for this community, and it's something that I want to put my focus on if re-elected. Getting jobs into the future is pivotal to the economic growth of our city. All state schools in Ipswich are now air-conditioned. This is a fantastic initiative for our schools. We've got solar panels on many of our schools, helping manage those energy costs. I'm very proud of our investment in health here in Ipswich. We've invested $150 million, including a 50-bed acute mental health unit, a 26-bed ward, finally an MRI machine for our community, and there's more to come. We've committed recently that we will establish an alcohol and other drugs rehabilitation centre here in Ipswich, as well as expand our emergency unit, our obstetrics ward and our paediatrics. Ipswich has a rapidly growing population, and with that comes challenges. I'm hearing from locals that with the population growth, some of the public transport and mobility services that we have in Ipswich aren't meeting their needs. So I'm really pleased that we'll be able to have a review of that public transport network. Our kids are very important to us here in Ipswich, as they are right across Queensland. They've had a disrupted year, and I'm really pleased that we've been able to open 2 new schools in Ripley, servicing many of the people moving to this area, and there'll be more to come. In addition to those 2 new schools, we've invested over $25 million in our local schools over the last 5 years. When the pandemic first occurred here in Ipswich, I got on the phones. I called thousands of people in Ipswich. And what was overwhelmingly evident to me was that Ipswich people think about community. There were many people who were healthy. They weren't that worried about themselves getting the virus, but they had a 92-year-old neighbour, or they had somebody in their community that they cared about, and that they were sacrificing their own freedom so that they could protect other vulnerable members of the community. Many of our seniors became isolated during the lockdown, and people reached out a helping hand. And I want to thank Ipswich people for their sense of community. It's one of the reasons that I have the energy to do the job that I do every day. I get my energy from your service to community. Our investment in public housing has been unprecedented in this community. 350 social housing dwellings will be built in Ipswich. And in the middle of town, you may have noticed a block of units almost completed to house some of our most vulnerable people. 2020 has been a tough year for all of us. I'm asking you to put your trust in me to steer Ipswich forward into the next 4 years and to make sure that no opportunities are squandered in this great city of ours. Thank you.